All right, and we are live. All right, so what's going on, Rosie? I'm so excited because I feel like we have talked about this podcast episode for like years, like ever since we became friends.
It's our conversation every day.
Every day, basically.
Business, yeah.
So for those of you guys listening, I'm sitting here with one of my closest friends and also someone who is just a force to be reckoned with in the PMU business, in the beauty industry, just in every area of your life. I feel like you're just like a force to be reckoned with. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about how to turn your dream into a startup business and how you did that, how I've done that, and things that our audience needs to know. Those of you guys who are listening who have the dream of being in the beauty industry or being in PMU or whatever industry that you're wanting to embark on. Obviously, we're going to be talking more about the beauty industry because that's our expertise. But this episode may change your life. So I'm so excited to dive into that. So first off, tell us about you and your story and what you're doing now and how you got here and all that good stuff.
So I'm from New York City, and growing up, I always went and got my eyebrows threaded. And then I came to Campbellsville without ever visiting. Came here, didn't know anything about the town. And I was shocked that whenever it was time for me to get my eyebrows done, there was no one that specialized in just eyebrows.
Right.
So I had actually walked into a salon to get my brows done. And then I looked at the girls' brows, and they were really bad. And I left because that's my number one rule. In any field, you wouldn't go to someone that for a specialty if they're not good at it. You wouldn't go to a dentist with rotten teeth, you know?
Absolutely.
So anyway, that made me start just doing my own. And then after that, I was doing my own brows. Then people on campus were asking me, like, who does your brows? I'm like, oh, just me. So it kind of started out of a need, you know? So no one was doing it.
You saw a need.
Yeah. So no one was doing it. So I just started doing it for fun, literally for free. And then there was no, like, my clientele grew over those 4 years in college when I was doing that in my dorm room. And I graduated with a degree, but I was having more fun doing this, which I never even thought of as like a career.
And give us like a time frame. So when did you start doing brows? Like what year? Like in your dorm room?
I started in 2013. So when I first moved, and then I graduated May 2017. And then there was no eyebrow artist. I created a job that I wanted. I had graduated college, but I didn't want to pursue sports medicine. So I literally went to a salon and was like, hey, can I work here? I'm an eyebrow artist. And, you know, they were like, yeah, like, we, you know, and so my biggest thing is if there's not a job that you want, create it. Yeah.
I am so big on that. I think that is something that is so true. If you see a need, if you see an industry, create it. Like, even if like we've talked about this before, in the area that we live in Central Kentucky, there was no brow industry.
No.
There was no really permanent makeup industry.
No.
I know for sure there wasn't a skincare industry.
Yeah.
Like I created that.
Yeah.
And you created like the brow industry
Yeah.
in your space. So for those of you guys who are living in like small, like more rural areas in Middle America or in like Southern America, sometimes you have to be like the pioneer in your field. So you start working at that salon.
Yeah.
How long did you kind of do what in the industry we call booth renting?
Yeah. So before we even say that, I don't want you to feel like if you're in a town where there's 1,000 people that are doing what you want to do, you can still do it. You don't have to be the first. And competition makes us all better. So, you know,
100%.
I don't want you to think that. But yeah, I was actually working for commission at the salon for 6 months. I was working 2 days a week. And I went to the owners and I was like, hey, I want to do this full time. Like, I love it. Will you let me work more days? Yada, yada, yada. And they literally told me word for word, there's no point in you working more days a week because there's not enough clients for that.
And
So so don't quit your other jobs.
So they basically told you don't quit your side hustle or whatever.
Don't quit your real job.
Don't quit your real job.
Yeah. So when that happened, I literally, like, my heart just sank. And but you know what? That would have broken some people. And seriously, for me, I do not take no for an answer. That just motivated me even more. So the next day I went in and I was like, thank you guys for your feedback, but I'm just gonna have to find another place that believes in me. And so I didn't, but I got my own place. And I rented my own room at a salon for a year before I bought my own location. So yeah, you just can't take no for an answer.
That's amazing. And just kind of give them an update now.
Yeah.
At 2020, you own your own business. You own your own brick and mortar business.
Yep.
How many employees do you have?
There is 7 of us, I believe. I think there's 7 of us. And I also, before saying that too, there's so many people that are going to tell you no because they can't see it as a possibility for themselves.
Yes.
So just because, and I don't have any hard feelings towards the owners that told me that, because guess what? For anyone else, yeah, they're right. But they were right, and they never even saw that this could be a possibility. But you can't let other people's doubts be your answers for life. Just 100%. Like your family's gonna... My family was so mad. I'm the first one in my family to graduate from college, and I didn't even use my degree. Yeah. And I'm over here doing brows. My mom was like...
And I didn't truly living your best life. Like, would you say?
Yeah.
Like, truly, truly living your best life. And, you know... It's so inspiring, like your story, because obviously like we're friends, we know each other,
and you've seen it from the beginning.
I've seen it because a lot of you guys don't know this. If you are like our clients, or if you are familiar with me and Rosie, you know that I actually worked for Rosie.
She was my first ever employee.
I was your first ever employee.
First person I ever trained.
Yes,
that's where my passion for being an educator and training even started. Yeah.
Yes, and so I really did see it all. And I have so much respect for you, and that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast, because we just want to uncover some gold in this podcast, because you and I talk about this all the time, but a lot of the people who are listening, they're dreamers.
Yeah.
You listening to this right now in your car, in your bed, wherever you're listening to this, you have a dream.
Yeah.
And you have this idea of turning it into a successful business. Not just a business that takes your time and takes your money and is just will tank in 5 years. You see yourself doing something for the rest of your life that literally just brings joy to your life.
Well, and also what's really important is people looking at us or looking at me. This is Rosie of 2020. You know, when I started in 2013, that was 7 years ago.
Yes.
So I don't want you to look at me and compare literally my chapter 100 to your chapter 1 if you're just starting. So, you know, think this has been 7 years of the making of owning my own property, having my own business, having my training academy, having my team.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to... This isn't where I started. So that's what we're going to help you do.
100%. And that is something that we really can dive into later, as well as you have to have patience with your journey, and you have to have so much perspective. Because it's like, I look at Kylie Jenner, and she's like my age, a year older than me, and she is a billionaire and owns a huge global cosmetics company.
Yeah.
So, but she kind of had a head start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of us didn't.
Yeah.
So it's perspective. It's so much based on perspective. So in this episode, we have kind of sat down and collaborated on 5 steps to turn your dream into a startup business.
Yep.
So the first thing I want to talk about is I want to really speak some truth to people, because there's a lot of people who love the idea of owning a business, and they see like hashtag girl boss, hashtag boss babe on Instagram with the suits and the blazers and all of it, and
or they even see us.
Yes.
And we listen, everyone does this. Social media, you post your highlights. 100%. I don't post when my roof caves in and I have to pay $10,000 to fix that, and I'm crying. Right. You know, true story.
Or like
you don't post about when the plumbing breaks.
You don't post the weekly conversations with like your accountant. Like you don't post all the work. You know what I mean? Like, people only see the high points of owning a business. And in my personal opinion, I think that is so toxic. Because so many people enter into entrepreneurship, enter into like owning a business with a horrible idea of the truth about what it is.
Yeah.
So we want to just kind of debunk some myths
Yeah.
and kind of work on groundwork. So for those of you guys listening, you have your dream. What you have to kind of ask yourself, what do you love?
Yeah.
What brings you joy? For you, it was brows.
It
eyebrow
wasn't brows.
shaping.
It wasn't even that. It was whenever I was with my clients, building that relationship and giving them the confidence and them leaving feeling like beautiful and confident. That's what brings me joy. Empowering women. That's what brings me joy. Brows is just like the way I get to do that.
Right. Kind of same with skincare.
Yeah. But even just like if I can sit down and talk with someone and, you know, encourage them to follow their dreams, doing this podcast, if one person listening starts their business and follows their dreams, like that is what fulfills me.
100%. But the product.
Yeah.
Right. So brows for you was the product to how you were going to do that. So for those of you guys who are listening, you have to ask yourself some main questions before you start your business plan, before you start investing. You got to ask yourself some key questions, and we want to kind of break that down for you. So the first thing, what do you love?
Yeah.
And how I recommend starting this out is what I tell a lot of my friends who like are wanting to do startup businesses.
I know what you're going to say.
What do you like doing for fun?
I literally,
you know what I mean?
Like, I thought you were gonna say, what would you do for free?
Oh, that too. That was leading it.
We always
that
say
was
that.
Leading
Yeah.
What would you do for free?
Yeah.
What would you do?
I did brows for free for a year until I was saying I am taking a lot of time doing this for free. I'm gonna start charging $5.
Right.
You know,
like if you were somebody who maybe you find yourself constantly filling up your weekends with bridal makeup. And maybe you're doing that for free right now because you really, really enjoy it. You love bridal makeup.
Yeah.
Or you love just watching. So many of you women right now love watching YouTube videos, makeup tutorials, so many things. You are spending so much of your time watching these people's channels.
Yeah.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah.
Like maybe you have to really examine like your life and how you're spending your free time. And is there a way for you to convert these hobbies into a profitable business? And that is what we kind of want to tap into today.
And you can't, so many people say this to me. I want to start a business. I want to be a business owner. My dream is to have a business.
Right.
But are you going into it to be a business owner? Because being a business owner is not fun.
Let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah. You need to know what you love to do before you could even start a business, because you could open up a coffee shop or open up whatever, but if you hate doing it, you're going to quit, because when it gets really hard and like to the hard moments, it's me knowing that I love what I do that gets me through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think this kind of goes without saying, there's a lot of people who are amazing at their profession.
Yeah.
There are so many estheticians listening to this. You're a 5-star esthetician. You can give the best facials. You are so knowledgeable on product. Because you're an expert in your field does not mean you are a business person.
Yeah.
And that's a hard reality to come to, because I work with people every single day and I've seen it to where they are so obsessed and they are an expert in their field. But just because you're an expert does not mean that you are, and I do not mean this harshly, but it does not mean that you're cut out for this life.
Yeah, 100%.
And I kind of that was such a good point that you made. I kind of want to dive a little bit deeper into that, because like we said, so many people think owning a business is glamorous.
Yeah.
And they don't understand the heartache of it all. And
the difference between, and we were actually just having this conversation the other day, because when we hang out, that's all we talk about.
We don't know how to not talk about work. We're working on that.
Yeah.
We're working
on that as doing this podcast. So what we were just talking about, the difference of being a manager, of being, the head of a business, or, just whatever, being an independent person and being the owner, is every decision is up to you, and you're the one who has put in everything and put in all the risk. And if things go wrong, it's on you. The manager can just walk away.
100%.
They've not invested their life, their money, their time into the business like you have. So if you, without risk, there's no reward. I've put everything money-wise, savings,
time,
everything into the business, that if any of my employees, my team members, my managers, whatever, if they walk out and leave, they don't lose anything.
100%.
We lose everything.
100%.
So until you're ready to risk it all, you are not ready to own a business.
And that is why, and this could honestly be a totally different podcast.
Literally.
Because we talk about this so much. But that is why you have to be very careful and you have to be very strategic about the time in your life where you're wanting to embark on this journey of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are better times in your life than others.
Yeah.
Like
and
if you were
us,
young, if you were young and you really don't have a lot holding you back, you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
That is the time. Those of you guys who are listening to this and you're 19, you're 20, you're 25 and you have nothing but time and you're single.
Yeah.
Like, what are you waiting for?
Well, hey, I'm married and you can still follow your dreams married.
100%. But that's what we wanted to like dive into is how much of your life does that take up?
Yeah.
How much of your life does the business take up?
And another podcast is there's no such thing as balance.
Balance. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
But yes, there is no such thing as balance. Balance is a lie.
Yeah.
And
when you're successful in one area in your life and you're putting all your focus and energy into that, which for me is my business, then other areas do suffer. Even if that's my marriage, my friendships, my health, everything is suffering because I'm putting every awakening moment into my business. But then whenever I'm putting everything into my marriage, well, guess what? Business starts to suffer a little. But you need to there's certain seasons in your life where certain things are more important, and that's what you need to put first.
100%. And it's not that you can't have it all.
No,
because
you can.
Especially with women, we put these stipulations on women of you can't have the successful marriage, you can't have the six-figure salary and be a CEO, and you can't have the family life. Not all that is true, but the family. Not all that is true. What we're saying is you can have it all. You just may not be able to have it all at once in that moment.
Yeah, well, certain things just need your attention more at
100%.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to sacrifice that.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to sacrifice
and you need
that.
to be with a supportive husband or partner that is going to support you and be understanding.
Right. And something else I wanted to say about taking ownership when you are the business owner. Everything is your fault. Everything that happens, if you own a salon, if you own a spa, if you own a medical spa, whatever your business looks like, if you're the owner, if your name is on the lease, if your name is on the property, everything that happens at that location is your fault. If one of my employees shows up late,
it's your fault.
It's my fault. Because at one point, I probably showed up late.
Yeah.
So that set the standard of, okay, well, if my boss does that, it will be totally fine for me to do that. Or if one of my employees does a facial or a massage on someone and it's not up to par, that's my fault. Guess why? Because I did not spend enough time training and teaching them this is our way, this is our standard. So that is just so important. It's like you have to be okay with taking ownership and taking it 100% of the time. When you're working for somebody else, if a customer is unhappy or something is going on,
you say, "Oh, let me grab the manager. Let me grab the boss." They handle it.
You are the boss. Guess what? So I think that we say all that not to like deter you, but we say all this because it's a choice. Like getting into this is 100% a choice. And there's going to be hard days. So moving on from that, what do you need to start? Like those women and men who are sitting there listening to this right now, maybe, some of you guys are listening to this being like, I want to do what Rosie does. I want to be a PMU artist. I want to own my own PMU business. How do we start? How do you turn a how do you turn a dream into a startup business?
So we already said you need to figure out what you love to do. So let's say now you're saying what you love to do is browse the beauty industry. You need to literally sit there and write, what do you need to start? So you need to take a class. You need to be certified. That's not going to happen by you daydreaming. I offer online courses right now while you're home. Message me on Instagram, text my salon number, Brows and Beauty Company. There's also in-person training. A lot of people think in order to be a PMU artist or threading a specialist, you need to have a cosmetology or an esthetician license, and in most states you do not. So I actually offer training and can get you certified in threading, and then also for microblading and permanent makeup. And you actually only need a tattoo license for that, which is a separate department.
In the state of Kentucky.
And in a lot of other states, which
yeah.
I help people figure out what they need in their state as well.
Right.
So,
and also I just want to chime in with your online courses. They also get one-on-one training. With you, so you can help them specifically get licensure for what they need for their state.
Yeah.
Which is really, really great because a lot of people don't have that person. So.
Well, most people, if you take a class, guess what? At the end of the class, you're going to have more questions than you did at the beginning of the class.
100%. Or you should, at least.
Yeah. So I'm there to answer that for you because I know that's what I wanted when I took classes. And so you can message me and I'll, message you back and we have that correspondence for life, literally.
Yeah.
If you've taken a class from me, I'm going to help you every step of the way.
100%. Like, I have so many beautiful and talented women in my DMs saying, I want to become an esthetician, but how do I start? Research schools.
Yeah.
If you are listening to this, you can't daydream about it.
Yeah.
Like, daydreaming about it is not going to make it happen.
Yeah.
Literally, you're going to be, 40, 50, 60 with a dream. So
yeah.
You have to take action. And the first thing you can do for those of you guys who are wanting to become estheticians, become hairstylists, just be in the beauty industry or any industry.
Yeah.
Research schools.
Yeah.
Contact these schools.
Yeah.
Ask them how much is your tuition. Straight up. Ask them. Get an idea of what you would be investing and then create your plan. Go from there once you've decided.
What's amazing about the brow industry and permanent makeup is like if you want to be an esthetician, you're gonna spend $10,000 to $15,000 and 6 months in school.
Oh yeah.
If you want to be a cosmetologist,
it's
$20,000 to $30,000 and a year of school. If you want to be a permanent makeup artist, you can take a class for $2,000, learn permanent makeup, learn microblading, and of course the class isn't, you learn by doing. So once you get certified, that's the first step. But a $2,000 startup cost for your business is just like, amazing.
The return that you would see on
you get
that.
your return of investment so fast.
And just give them an idea, how much is microblading with you?
So with me, it's $550 a client. So when I first started, though, I did $250.
Right.
And so my class that I took was like $2,500. And I remember sitting down before the class and thinking, okay, I'm going to spend $2,500 on this class. How many people do I need a microblade to get that money back?
Yeah.
And I literally sat there and did the math. And I think it was like, because I did some people for free and stuff, like 10 clients. But once I finished that 10th client and I knew I made my money
just
back.
on the profit train from then on.
In 1 month.
Yeah.
And then the rest of that is profit.
That's a pretty... I'm just thinking about like the return that you
Yeah.
would see on that for like 30 plus years.
And even less than that.
And
the
same-
threading class.
Yes.
You can take my online threading class right now for $199. It's half off. And you can make that back so fast.
You're right. And same thing with aesthetics. You know,
Yeah.
I think some of us see what it costs to go to school, especially if you want to invest in your education.
Yeah.
So like a lot of you guys know me, if you follow me on Instagram, I attended Aveda Institute Nashville. So that is a very, very prominent aesthetic schools. Like they produce some of the most amazing estheticians in the industry. And if you are located in the South, Kentucky, Tennessee, Huntsville, Alabama area, I always recommend people when they come to me, I do recommend that school.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the beauty industry, cosmetology, aesthetics, stuff like that, sometimes where you go to school, it can give you a head start.
Oh, of
It can
course.
really, really help you. So it is, even though a lot of the good schools are expensive. So
It's worth the investment.
It's worth the investment.
And this is why I'm fully confident in my training classes is because everything that I wish I could have had, I make sure you have. So when I left my first threading class, I left with so many questions and the trainer was nowhere to be found. You couldn't email her, call her, ask
You're
her a question.
so good about that too. You are so one-on-one.
Yeah. And like, it's really because I also have a passion in teaching and like helping
you always said like I wanted to be a teacher.
Yeah. When I
And
grew
now
up,
I teach.
Yeah. So, you should, if it's not me, if it's any trainer, ask them. Cause maybe you're in a different state or maybe you connect with someone else. That's totally fine.
Oh, yeah.
Ask them like, what does it look like after I take your class? Like, do we have calls? Can I still come to you for help? Most people don't offer that, so
100%.
make sure you have that relationship to where you can continue to grow and learn from that class. So we already said you need to figure out what you love and figure out how to get started, whether that's being like, taking a class or certain supplies that you need, things like that. So we'll keep going.
So now a lot of you guys are hyped up.
Yeah.
we have hopefully we have ignited something in you that lets you know you need to be in this industry. You need to do this thing, whatever this thing is. So we actually want to dive in a little bit on how to create a business plan. And can we first start, because a lot of people, like, let's say they're like me. I don't have a degree. I never went to college. I never had like a intro to business course or anything like that.
I mean, I went to college. I have a degree, but in sports medicine. I never learned anything business.
About business, yeah. And so let's break down what a business plan is and why it's important long-term for the success of your business.
So I know the word business plan sounds scary, but my first business plan I ever wrote was literally on a loose leaf paper in my notebook / journal diary, and it's literally writing down, okay, what do you need? So before you even get started, all the stuff that you need to run your business, add that up, add the cost up. And now you're going to write, how long is it going to take you to make that money back? What do you expect or hope your monthly, income is going to be? And just writing out the steps to getting your business done. So when I went to the bank for the first time to get the loan on my building, I literally had a business plan. I had everything that it was going to cost me, what I planned on making my first year open and just everything. They were so impressed by my business plan, and they literally said that I was the youngest person they've ever had that they lend that much money to in that bank.
Right.
But because I came in prepared, they were ready to invest in me. And that's what you need.
100%. And let me tell y'all something. This is harsh, but I keep it real with you guys. Banks especially don't care about your dream.
No.
They don't care about your dream.
They need to see a business plan.
They need to see a business plan, and they need to see numbers.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you that before your harsh loan officer tells you that. If you go in there trying to get, like, for me, for example, when I started Skinspiration, I literally started by renting a room. That was $500 a month. It was from you.
Yeah.
I supplied all my furniture. I did everything. I was like, I want to start my own skincare business. And you have to start small.
Yeah.
I knew right out of school I didn't want to work for anybody. I went in with this like deluded like self-confidence that I knew everything there was to know about skincare and everything I need to know about the skincare industry. And I did not. But I figured it out on just throughout my journey. But I literally did not have $5,000.
No.
I sat down and I got a list of all the supplies I needed.
Yeah.
The steamer, the bed warmer, the towels, the towel warmer, all this different stuff. I made a list. You can find a lot of this stuff on Amazon, Skin Act. There's so many, just Google aesthetic equipment stores.
And if you take any of my classes, I give you a training manual, and in that training manual has every single thing you need with the price, a recommended supply list, which helps you. You don't even have to work to write that out.
Right. And so for me, whenever I did this, I realized, okay, all of this is about to come to $5,000.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think I maybe had like $4,000 in my savings, which I could have used to spend it on that. But I didn't want to tap into my savings for a dream that I didn't know how it was going to work out.
Yeah.
So I think I was 19 or 20 whenever I went to get my first business loan from the bank. And it was only for $5,000. But I came in there with my list, with everything that I was going to use this money for.
And I remember helping you and you being like, how much is this going to cost? How much do you think?
Yes.
Yeah, all of that.
And because this is the first thing that the bank is going to ask you. And we're speaking specifically for loans.
Yeah.
For those of you guys who need to take out loans. The first thing they're going to ask you is, what is your income and what's going to be your overhead? So for those of you guys who don't know, overhead is your expenses per month.
Yes.
So there's two different types of expenses. There's capital expenses and then there's operating expenses. Operating expenses is also known as overhead. That is, so for you, things that you constantly need per month: thread, microblading pens. For us, it's sponges, it's 4x4s, Brack bar products, stuff like that. That is your operating expense. That is something that's probably never going to go away, and that constantly has to be supplemented into the business plan.
Yes, exactly.
Capital expenses are like your larger equipment that you're only going to have to buy one time.
Yep.
You're only going to have to buy a facial treatment bed one time. You're only going to have to buy a steamer, hopefully.
Until you grow and you have
until
multiple
you grow,
rooms.
yes, and then
Yeah.
you have to buy more. But you start so small.
Yes.
So just to give you guys, those are the two things you have to have an idea of. Once you've decided what your capital expense is going to be and your operating expense is always going to be for the time being,
Yep.
that is when you have to decide,
You know how
do I
much-
make this back?
Yeah.
How do I make this happen?
Yep.
And everything else is profit.
Yeah.
Let's say, because I'm thinking about like starting super small.
Yeah, let's
You
say
would
your
have, like,
operating costs are $1,000 a month.
a month.
That's with your rent and everything. But you know, if you do 10 clients a week for 4 weeks out of the month, you're going to make $3,000. Well, and you have that $1,000 operating cost. You know your profit's $2,000 a month.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, just like a super easy formula that I learned in school was you write down all this, what your overhead is, what your operating expenses. Capital expenses are a little bit different because, like I said, that would only be purchased once.
Yep.
But once you've done that, I like to literally sit down and think, if you've got your service list established, how many customized facials do I need to do? How many dermaplaning facials do I need to do? How many of this, and this do I need to do to meet my overhead? Once you've beaten that overhead, girl, the rest of it is your money. Believe it or not, like the rest of it is literally your money. Like you now officially have a profitable business.
Exactly.
That's all it takes. You have to make enough money to cover what's always going to have to be taken care of. And now you are a business owner. So how, now that we've established that, creating your plan, we've kind of talked about, do you really want to own a business? We won't go too much more into that. But what do you feel like are things that people may run into while cultivating their business plan? Like issues that you may have to attack, issues that you've had to attack, like in your own business.
Cutting back costs.
Cutting back costs.
Like,
oh, girl.
So, there's just,
tell me about it.
yeah, like now when you're growing, there's always added costs. Now I'm paying a videographer a couple $100 a month because I'm taking videos, or a photographer is coming in, paying her a couple $100, and it's like, business coaching, this extra stuff that you're spending. Now you have to sit down and think. When you first start, you have to think, if I spend this money, how am I going to make that money back? If it's not going to make you money, then in the beginning, you don't need to do it.
100%.
But as you're growing, you might see it like, okay, this might not make me money now, but the advertising in this is going to make me money later. So,
and that is something that you kind of grow into.
Yeah.
Because we talk about this all the time, like about trading your time for money.
Yeah.
But that is something once you kind of get further on into the business, like when you're starting out, you're going to be physically working with people every single day.
Yeah.
But after a while, you actually have to start investing in things that maybe aren't making you money, like in that moment, but are growing your brand for just eons, like things that you can't imagine right now, like planting seeds basically. And that's something that you've really been trying to like incorporate into your business. I know, because I've seen you taking office days out of the week to like not meet with clients, to actually still
work
be at
on
work,
the business.
but work on the business.
And don't be afraid to ask questions. What's the worst thing that something can happen? They say no, or they don't answer you. Like, it's fine. Ask questions and surround yourself. There's a reason why Natalie and I are best friends. We think we're so different, but our passion is the same and we think the same. And every time we're together, we're learning from each other.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
all the time. It's like, okay, how about this? You do this or you do this. If you want to be in a certain industry, or if you want to be in better shape or do whatever, like, you need to be around people that help you get to that. You're not going to be, there's so many things.
What we're talking about gets so hard, because that's honestly more of like, it's honestly like a lifestyle thing. Like when you start really, really diving into what you want in life, and you really want to start growing your career, growing your family, whatever that thing is for you that you feel like you're missing in your life, and you want to put all your effort into that, there's going to be people who either you have to cut out of your life or who will simultaneously fade away.
Yeah.
And
I have people in my life that I don't talk business to about because they're negative and they're
closed-minded.
And they just can't see it from themselves. So they just, it's just, I don't talk about it.
Yeah, and that's hard. That's hard because a lot of you guys, like, you have friendships that don't support your dreams.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this, message me or Natalie. We answer every DM. It might take a couple
days.
It might take a couple days, but we do answer
we try
everyone.
To get back to all of you guys.
And we love voice memos. We'll probably send you a voice memo, and we can be there for you
because we've been you.
Yeah.
Every single one of us right now, like me, Rosie, we were literally kids with dreams.
Yeah.
5 years ago, you were a college kid with a dream.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I was a nothing kid with a dream.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, I just had this idea of having a skincare business and having, not only that, having a place in my tiny little town where women could come and feel revived and relaxed and feel like they were investing in themselves.
Yeah.
Because when you invest in yourself, you grow in every area of your life because you have self-worth and you have self-value, and that's something that nobody can take away from you.
Yep.
And that's ultimately what Skinspiration is, and that's ultimately what we try to focus on with the Skin is In podcast, because so many of you aren't living up to your full potential.
Yeah.
Like, you're listening to this and everything, this is just igniting a fire in you, but what are you going to do? Like, after you get done listening to this podcast, what are you going to do to change your life?
Yeah.
Because you can't just get excited off listening.
Yeah.
You can't just get excited off the information. That's
Yeah.
something that I'm so bad about doing.
Yeah.
I'll read a book or take a course and I get so hyped off of the fact that I did it and now that I have the information. Getting the information is just part of the battle. Now, what are you going to do with the information that Rosie and I have given you?
Mm-hmm. How are you going to implement that into your life?
You have to take action.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing, is you have to take action.
Yeah.
You have to do it. Research that school. Contact Rosie for, her threading program, her PMU business.
Yeah.
Contact that other person for one-on-one training.
Yeah.
Contact, if you want to go into film, if you want to start a YouTube channel, contact that person who you have a connection with on social media and just send them a voice memo, send them a DM and say, will you help me?
Yeah.
You have to ask, and you cannot let the fear of rejection paralyze you. Because you don't.
If I did, I would have quit a long time ago. Yeah.
Same thing for me. And just to kind of finish off, the last thing we want to talk about of how to turn, your business, your dream into a business. We want to talk a little bit about the logistics.
Yeah.
So Rosie and I are actually going to talk about some of the systems that we like to utilize in our business. So we're going to be speaking a little bit more directly to people in the beauty industry because that is our expertise.
Yeah.
So a huge thing is getting clients.
Yeah.
So social media. You need an Instagram account.
Yeah.
You have to have an Instagram account. The days of not having social media for your business are long gone.
Yes.
Guess what? Nobody gets to do that anymore.
I don't take anyone serious unless they have a business account. Even if you just, you started your Skinspiration
while I was
Instagram
in school
page while you were at school and just posted about things you were learning.
Girl, listen to me. If you are in school right now, start that account, girl. Start that account, because the worst thing ever is once you have your license and you're ready to take clients and they follow you and you got 23 followers and they're like, this is sketchy. But if you start early on,
then you'll have a couple hundred.
You'll have a couple hundred, or you will at least have posts.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand
a history that they can see.
Yes. Yeah. That is literally
So for us, I don't look at Instagram or social media as anything but a portfolio.
100%.
Your Instagram, when clients ask me oh, I want to see some lip stuff or lip blush you've done or brows, I literally go back and show them pictures on my Instagram. That is where they're going to go to see your work. Think about you as a person. If you're trying to find a wedding photographer, where are you looking? You're not necessarily looking at their websites first. No. You're looking at their pictures on Instagram. And if they don't have good pictures on their social media, then you're like, oh, well, they haven't been doing it that long.
Facebook and Instagram are non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Especially in the beauty industry. You have to have a Facebook page.
That's more important beginning than a
TikTok.
A website. It's more important than a website when you're first starting.
Yes. The two social media platforms you need at first and you need to put all your energy to is an Instagram and Facebook. Yeah. Mark Zuckerberg owns the world.
Yeah.
Literally. Two things you cannot skip. After that, get a website. The website can honestly be the third thing.
You don't even know. After that, you need a booking software. So we both use Acuity. So you need, on Instagram, you can have a link. You need to have a call to action. What do they do when they go to your page? In your bio, you need to say, click the link to book. Message me
yeah.
to book. You need to tell them what to do once they've come to your Instagram. And so if you have, you can even have like Acuity or Square, any type of booking software that you like, have that link and they can go there. That can happen. I didn't have a website until I was 2 years into the business. I just had a booking link.
Yeah. So, and it depends too. So like, for example, for those of you guys who are like in aesthetic school right now and you can't perform services or you're kind of like doing the pre-work.
Then you should have a website.
Get a website so you can blog.
Yeah.
And eventually, once all of you guys get your websites, that website needs a blog. And it needs to have information on your services. It needs to have free information that your ideal client can go to and they don't have to pay money for.
Yeah.
5 steps on how to do your brows at home.
Yeah.
Or how to like fill in your brows at home.
Yeah.
How to find your skin type. That was like one of the first ones that I ever published.
Yeah.
I wrote a blog on how people can discover their skin type at home.
Yeah.
So definitely 2 things that kind of go hand in hand. And eventually you'll have both scheduling system and a website.
Yeah.
So a big question you guys might ask is, well, I don't know how to create a website or I don't have the money to invest. So some free hosting platforms you can use. I first started my website with Wix. Now we work with Squarespace.
Yeah, I like Square. Yeah, I use Squarespace as well. It's very easy to like Google and YouTube. When I don't know something and I don't have someone to ask, I literally YouTube it. Like, this is like funny, but I was making a vision board and I didn't know how to use a staple gun. And so I literally YouTubed, how do I use a staple gun? And there was a whole video on how to do it.
Right, 100%. And so that is super, super important.
Yeah, how to build a website on Squarespace. YouTube it. They'll show you.
We work primarily with Squarespace because it works with our scheduling system, Acuity scheduling. So if you can kind of integrate those 2 things, it's going to save you a lot of like headache in the long run because like I've had to switch hosting platforms and it can get really annoying. So
and how'd you learn about Acuity? Who told you about it?
You.
Exactly. So what I'm saying that to say, if you know someone and you like the way their booking system looks, ask them, hey, what software are you using? You know, knowing someone that's done it and that really enjoys it is going to help you be like, oh, it took me forever to find a booking system. No one in Campbellsville even used online booking. I'm pretty sure I was the first one in Campbellsville as an artist. I remember the salon I worked when I asked them, the same salon, I want to have an online booking system. Well, people don't book online. They like to call.
Girl.
Well, it's because they didn't have an option. You know, you need to have online booking. Or else you're going to be sitting there messaging clients all day, every day. Or what if I get so many clients in the middle of the night, I get an alarm that someone booked an appointment. Why, if someone's thinking about booking, let them be able to book anytime they want instead of having to wait till your business hours.
Yeah, and you know, that is something that I still don't understand why people fight the online booking wave so much. I feel like it's just a learning curve. Like people don't want to learn new things.
So start out with it. Start out with it. Yeah. And guess what? When you have an online booking system, you have a portfolio of all your clients. You have a client list right there with their name, their phone number, their email.
And that later on can be really effective for email marketing, which is, we won't get into that.
No,
that's
something
another,
that
we're kind of talking about the basics, but there's so many things that we can dive in deep. And like I said, like if you want us to do more episodes, if you want to hear more of like Rosie's entrepreneurial tips, leave a review and share this podcast, and let us know what you would like us to talk about in future episodes when we have Rosie on the podcast, because we've got,
I feel like we're just talking anyway, because we always do.
Oh my god,
we just need to record our
conversations, right?
It'll be a lot more vulgar, but no.
Right. So logistics and sales, Acuity scheduling is an awesome scheduling system. Square also has its own booking system that you can use,
and I know a lot of people that love it. I just love Acuity. So
we use we use Square as our point of sale system.
So there's Square Up, which is your point of sales, and then there's Squarespace,
which is a website.
Which is a website
Yeah.
builder. That way you're not confused, because a lot of people get confused on which is which. Square Up is the system where you take payments and take their card. Squarespace is your website platform.
If you've ever gotten your hair done or went to a coffee shop or done something and had to basically like sign, you know, your name on an iPad and like basically swipe your card through that little
it's
white
usually
thing.
Square.
It's usually Square. I think Square is like the most
Popular,
used point of sale system among small businesses in America. It's what I use. I love Square. It's easy to operate. It's easy to work. Listen, they're the people who own these companies like Acuity, Squarespace, Square Up. They are like, they'll teach you how to operate.
Yeah, you can call their customer service.
Yes, call their customer service, email. They're going to teach you how to do it. And listen, it doesn't. It's not rocket science.
It's not that hard.
I promise you, it's not rocket
You can
science.
learn it in a day.
You can learn it in a day. Like, I promise you.
And hey, to start out, if you have an iPhone, that's all you need. I would check out my clients on my iPhone using Squarespace. I would book them on my iPhone with Acuity. There's apps. You don't need a big fancy Mac and a POS system. Like, I have that now, but I didn't have the money, and that wasn't a necessity to get started when I started.
100%. So those are some examples of like what you would need to like start seeing clients. Social media, a way for them to book, a way for them to be in contact with you, and a way for you to put your work out there in order to get clients. And then that's kind of the formula. That's kind of all you need. So now you've decided what you want to do. You've created a business plan. You've taken action towards that business plan. And now you have everything you need to do your own startup.
Yeah.
The only thing that's after this episode, if you've stayed until the very end of this episode, the only thing preventing you from turning your dream into a startup is you at this point. Because we have literally just broken it down for you. It's not rocket science. We have the formula. We've both done it. So I want to kind of finish off the podcast, and we ask everyone this question because you guys know our kind of slogan with the Skin is In podcast is why survive when you can thrive.
Heck yeah.
And our whole goal is teaching people how to thrive in every area of your life. Obviously, this episode is a little more centered on starting a business and being in the beauty industry. So I wanted to ask you, friend, how do you thrive? How do you feel like you're thriving? Have you had areas in your life or have you had moments in your life where you felt like you were surviving? And how do you feel like now in your life you are thriving? Because you are. Anybody who knows you or like to know Rosie is to love her. And you're someone who I feel like just glows. Like is just glowing with.
It's because of my facials from you.
That too. Skinspiration facials help.
Yeah.
So how do you thrive in your life?
And I kind of touched base on that in the beginning. Literally, I do not take no for an answer from anyone in my life. Even people that I love and admire and look up to. My mom, people in business that I aspire to be, or anyone. Even if I put you up on a pedestal, I do not take no from anyone as an answer. I do not take no as an answer from my husband. I don't take it from anyone. If it's something that I love and that I think and I want to be successful in, and you tell me no, that just like adds fuel to my fire. Like, okay, now I'm ready to prove you wrong.
I'll never forget one time when we first met. For a lot of you guys who don't know, you were actually also a wrestler.
Yeah.
Before the beauty industry, you were like what, like third in the nation, like almost went to the Olympics.
I went to Olympic trials. Yeah, I don't really. That was another life.
That's like another life. But fun fact,
that's
Rosie,
what brought me to Campbellsville is a full scholarship to Campbell's University.
I got wrestling
and academics. Yep.
Yes, and that's amazing. But I remember whenever we were friends before Brows and Beauty Company, before Skinspiration, I asked you, how did you go so far in wrestling? Because, I mean, not that you aren't capable, but, you know, you're super small, you're super beautiful, you're super cute. You're not someone who you would immediately think, like, she's a fighter.
Yeah.
And she made it all the way to Olympic trials. And you told me when I asked you, how are you able to conquer all those and to just win every single match and go that far? And you literally told me, I went into every fight and I never took no for an answer.
Yeah.
Losing was not an option.
You can't go in thinking like, oh, this girl's gonna kick my ass. Like, no.
You literally I'm going in
yes.
to destroy this opponent, and losing's not an option.
Yeah.
Like, losing is not an option.
And that's how I am with my business. Like, the only option is success. I will not accept anything less.
Good.
And if you're not in my life inspiring me or making me better, then I don't have room for you either, honestly. Unless
Yes.
I'm there helping you. But I don't have space in my life for people that are going to bring me down.
100%. And I think that
And I really truly believe, because like I'm married, you're single, but if you're in a relationship, if they are not bringing you up, then you need to cut them out of your life.
any relationship.
Yeah, it's either, what's the quote or what's that thing? It's like either you have a supportive, yes, you say it.
Successful women only
Yes.
have two options
Yes.
for partners: a supportive partner or no partner at all.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what we talked about at the beginning of the podcast is, it puts strains on your relationships when you're up at 2 a.m. doing work and they're like, oh,
Yeah,
it's
the only
a
person in
it's a
my life,
distraction.
the only person in my life that fully believed in me and didn't like stop me in anything is my husband,
Mr.
Parker.
McCorvey.
Yes, because even Natalie, when I went to buy my building, even you sitting on the red couch in my kitchen,
was
you
like, "That's a
literally
lot."
said, "Are you sure about this? This is a lot. Are you sure?"
I
And
100% did.
And she meant it with the love and kindness. Like she literally.
Because, okay, pause. For those of y'all listening, I don't know if you live in the Central Kentucky area, you know what Brows and Beauty is. But if you don't
Saw what it looked like.
If you don't live here, you don't understand. Like, she owns this huge, how big is the building? How many square feet?
8,000.
8,000 square foot building.
Yeah.
It was run down. Nobody had owned it since the 60s. It was
Literally.
on the end of the main street in our town.
It was ugly,
It was-
mold, disgusting. And I looked at it and I was so happy.
And
I'm like,
she
this is
saw
it.
the dream.
Yeah.
She had a vision, and that's the thing. Yes, like
Even my best
everybody
friend
in your
said,
life was
yeah.
like, I remember saying, I was like, Rosie, I was like, this is a lot.
Yeah.
This is a lot, and there is risks.
Yeah.
involved. Like you have to go into it knowing, like, I'm taking a financial risk. I'm taking all this, like
Mm-hmm.
what we talked about. But now look at you.
Yeah.
Now look at you, and look at what that is. And if you live in Kentucky at all, you gotta check out Brows
Yeah.
Beauty Company. It's just a non-negotiable.
White brick, white and black building, the Futurist Female sign on the side
Check
of it.
it out, Main
Yeah.
Street, Campbellsville, Kentucky.
I hope that you guys learned some key things, and I know we're just like touching base on so many things, and if there's anything you have questions about, you can reach out to any of us. Like, we want to help you.
How can they find you on social media?
So it's at Brows and Beauty Company. So it's on Instagram, Facebook, browsandbeautycompany.com. Literally message me. I love talking to you guys, and I don't have a social media manager because I like to be connected with my clients and my followers. So if you message me, know that you're getting a response from me.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
You're welcome. Thanks
I
for
feel like
having me.
we talked about so much. Talked
Yeah.
about a lot of things. And if you have stuck around through the end of this podcast, you are walking away with tips that are going to change your life.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to hear your all story.
Yes.
You've listened for about an hour on our story and how we've done everything. And now it's your turn. Now it's your
Yeah.
turn to go and start that business. And you're going to do it.
And guess what? You can do it.
And one day I'll
Yeah.
have you on this podcast telling
Yeah.
your story. And
Yes.
you'll be telling me how you listened to this podcast with Rosie and it inspired you to
I hope
go
so.
out and do the damn thing. So I love you guys. We're signing off. And always remember, why survive when you can thrive? This is the Skin is In podcast with Natalie Warren. See y'all. Hey babes, it's Natalie. Thank you so much for listening to the Skin is In podcast. If you want more, subscribe to our YouTube channel and also follow us on iTunes. You can also find us at Skin is In podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And remember, why survive when you can thrive?